Howdy, everybody. It's another Tuesday. We didn't have a show last weekend, so we rescheduled that show. It's going to be a good one, though. It's a great angler from out east, so can't wait for that show. Well, it'll be coming up soon. How you doing, Kevin?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Good. Tired.
I
Work's
think you
busy.
you and a lot of us this time of year. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, Roden. Yeah, no, it's end of hunting season. Everyone's kind of putting in that last drive. Beginning of ice fishing. Just insane, and work's busy, seems like, for a majority of people. So
Yeah, I think the economy's picking up a little bit. Well, I think it's picking up. I mean, it depends on the sector, I guess, but yeah,
yeah.
I'll say we're in the same boat. I was just about to tell you before we went on air here, we were planning a big trip for brook trout and work's getting in the way again.
Yeah.
The darn work, hey?
Seems like it always gets in the way.
Yeah.
But there's ways around that too.
Yeah.
But do you have any other trips planned for some ice fishing this year?
Oh, I'll try to do what we always try to do, just hit different species, different times, of course. But
Yeah.
I really was hoping to get out for brook trout right away here, but I got to leave again to go up into the hills and do some bear work, do some bear surveys on the third. So I don't know if I'm going to get the best time.
Yeah. It's
How
kind
about
of
yourself?
winding down. I'd love to go for brook trout. I just can't. It seems like I just can't fit it in. Maybe I'll just go somewhere local, but
Yeah,
um, probably some big rainbows this weekend, maybe some big pike, but
yeah.
I gotta pick one of the two. We gotta keep going on the acreage, so that's stuff
Oh
to
yeah.
do there too. So much to do, so little time.
I
But
know how that
hopefully
works. Yeah.
next year's a little less stressful, less workful.
But hunting seasons are coming to a close, and you get to take a break now for a bit, at least from that. So that's
Yeah,
kind of a
yeah. And
forced.
Heather got a nice muley this year.
She did, yeah. I don't know if any of the folks tuning in or have seen Heather's buck, but my wife shot a really nice mule deer. She's still working on her whitetail. We're still filming for Bo's Own Live, and
Yeah,
she's putting in full days still. She's put in another full day today, and tomorrow's it. So we'll see what happens. She's onto a giant, so she's
yeah,
trying to decide whether it's going to be all or none.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys only have one more day up there too.
Yeah, closes the 30th. I actually have a 212 primitive weapons cow elk tags,
Oh yeah,
so might try to get after that if I can
I,
find some time. That's the problem.
yeah. I heard that one's sometimes a little hard to get permission in that area there.
Yeah, I've got a really good friend that's kind of got them all dialed in, and they're just always there. So yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Seems like you have to make the time then.
Well, yeah, I'm pretty tough to pass up elk meat. I did manage to take a really, a good eater, 5x5 bull elk with my bow early, and
Yeah.
so we're not suffering there. But I never turned down elk meat, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, that was a nice elk too.
Yeah. Did you get out yourself for elk?
No, I pretty much got out for an antelope with a buddy. We got his antelope, then some mule deer down south, and that was pretty much my season.
Oh yeah, I saw a bit of that. That's right. Yeah. That's a beauty of social media. Hey, you can kind of keep an eye on people.
Yeah, keep your tabs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So with the season winding down, did you learn any new tips for different species this year that you're hunting? Stuff that stood out, like that you'll use for next year, maybe?
That's I, I I think everybody learns something every year, every
Yeah.
month, every week, every trip we go out. I don't know about specifics. I think when it comes with every hunt, I think the biggest thing for me is just it always hits home that there's peak peak times and peak periods for every species where your odds are just that much higher. So understanding when the estrus cycles are,
Yeah.
for the elk, for the moose. Even with mule deer, if you're a bow hunter and you like bow hunting mule deer, man, those first 2 weeks are absolutely imperative.
Yeah.
The mule deer can go out of velvet, but even still, when there's no crunchy stuff on the ground, that's a prime time for the mule deer. But we hunted hard. We hunted really hard for moose. Heather was into bulls. She had calls in bulls every day. Just could
Yeah.
not get an archery shot at one.
Oh yeah.
And so I mean, yeah, we learned lots. I don't know about specifics that I can share, but we sure, yeah, every day I think you pick something up.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Um, with the season ending, are you going to be going predator hunting now when you get a moment?
If we get a moment, yeah. People that we're connected with tend to know that I run commercial coyote hunts. I outfit
Yeah.
for coyote hunts, um, and my favorite time is always the first 14 days of December.
Oh yeah.
Um, I had big plans for first couple days, but again, I gotta zip up to the mountains here and do some bear den survey work, and so that'll have to wait. I can't wait though, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you do mostly mouth calls or do you electric call or?
I do everything. I've got lots of different, uh, I guess, things in my tickle trunk. My favorite is the Fox Pro calls. Um,
Yeah.
I I tend to do things that a lot of guys don't do, and that really is the ticket with coyote calling, fox calling, even wolves. Um, in my experience, a lot of times I'll just call with birds. I'll just use
Yeah.
magpies and crows and just really keep kind of the volume going up and down with that, and I'll call for 5 or 10 minutes sometimes just with birds. And
Oh yeah.
coyotes will often just pop out, and a lot of it depends on where you're hunting, right? Um, especially if it's a smaller block that's only maybe 3 or 4 acres large, and I know that there's coyotes there.
Yeah.
Man, a lot of times those birds will just bring a curious coyote to the edge to take a look, and that'll be the last time he does that. So
Yeah.
yeah, but no, then I, like a lot of guys, early I'll use kind of the traditional distress calls, and then of course pup in distress is always a good one. But once we get past Christmas, it gets a little trickier depending on where you are. Like I hunt some pretty heavily hunted areas too, so we got to be a little more
Yeah.
creative. But once we get into breeding season, then almost go strictly to howls and different breeding vocalizations, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you use decoys or anything like that early season then?
Yeah, yeah. We've got a decoy called Fido, that
Oh yeah.
we've named Fido. If you've been on any of my social media, you've probably seen him. He's looking a little worse for wear now, but
Oh
he's
yeah.
actually a fully taxidermied um, coyote,
Yeah.
that just sits up on his haunches, and yeah, he's looking a little rough, but he's a little tougher to carry around. But man, he's killed a lot of coyotes for us for sure.
Oh
And I
yeah.
use some flambeau, decoys too if I want to put multiple dogs out, that kind of thing. And
Oh
oh,
yeah.
even a tractor decoys. One of the coolest things I ever did was I got those little quiver magnets that you get for duck
Yeah.
decoys.
Yeah.
They look like a hockey puck and they just vibrate.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I went to a toy store and I bought a white bunny rabbit, ripped it open, shoved the quiver magnet in, sewed it up just so I could had enough to turn on the quiver magnet. And if I put that on a stick or even on a high spot in the field, it just sits
Yeah.
there and moves. Coyotes love it. Oh yeah, hook, line, and
Yeah.
sinker. Yeah.
I know I got a little inflatable fawn with one of those in it. Haven't
Oh
used
yeah.
it. We bought it years ago, but yeah, I'd like to get it out and try some wolves maybe this year. There is a ton of them, so
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I use when conditions are really bad, like really heavy wind or extreme cold. Um, I don't think any animal really likes extremes, but in extreme conditions, I'll often get, hey, Greg, sometimes hop down in a deep ravine and get on a creek
Yeah.
bottom and put a fawn in distress in there, and man, they'll run right up the creek.
Yeah.
Especially if there's two guys and you face one guy one direction and one guy the other direction.
Yeah.
That's killer. And then they often I just tell a guy, just sit right behind your scope and just wait, and they'll run right into your barrel. Kind of
Yeah.
fun.
We saw a ton down south mule deer hunting. It's
Oh,
crazy how many are down there.
it's getting insane. In fact, I don't remember it being that populated with coyotes 20 years ago down
Oh,
there.
they're chasing deer everywhere.
Yeah.
Like the one guy we're hunting with in camp there, he watched one or 5 of them take down this little buck. Took him
Wow.
down into the river valley. Then he must have got away in
Yeah.
the end, but he saw him grab on. Then they took it down in there. But that's crazy.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. We were saying the same thing. I don't know. I really don't remember that many 20 years ago down there,
Yeah.
southern Alberta. But it's just thick with them now. But it
Yeah.
is everywhere. We actually have a really serious predator problem in this province.
100%.
You know, between grizzly bears, even black bear numbers are going up exponentially. Something a lot of people don't really acknowledge is our black bear numbers have gone through the roof the last 2 years. We've got every year about 2,000. I think it's about 2,000. Yeah, about 2,000 black bears get killed by commercial hunters. Americans that come up and that's 2,000 bears a year for the last 2 years that weren't killed, or just
Yeah.
previous, I guess. So, you put 4,000 more animals, you consider recruitment, that's a lot of animals.
Yeah. There is a ton.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's like the black bears. You don't see them, so you don't see those numbers as much. But
Yeah.
there is a ton of them out there.
But even with my work, I was seeing that because we go to a lot of problem sites and a lot of industrial sites, and I would say the numbers are exponentially higher this year
Yeah.
of black bears. Yeah,
Huh.
for sure.
And yeah, you right now you're doing den counts and stuff like that, or
Yeah, this week we'll be doing den surveys. Yeah, bear den surveys. Um, yeah, assessments really for an installation that's going in for a company, and they need to do their environmental work, and so part of that is bringing us on to work with biologists in doing bear den assessments. Yeah,
huh?
yeah.
Sounds pretty interesting. Anyways,
Well, it's fun. We've if you saw our social media, there's a couple little video clips of crawling in and out of the bear den, the abandoned bear dens. Yeah, if they're active sites, of course, we don't do that. There's kind of a protocol we follow with that, but
yeah,
yeah, yeah. You ever crawled
yeah,
inside a bear den?
I have.
Have you? Yeah,
When I find one,
yeah,
you gotta look in it,
yeah, yeah,
but it's always been when they're not around. You can
yeah,
literally smell them if they're in there.
yeah.
Broden was wondering how you kind of do the den surveys.
So we have transects. The companies identify traditional and projected areas that they think there could be bears, um, grizzlies and black bears, and then we basically do gridding with multiple bodies. So there's 4 or 5 biologists or biotechs, whatever, and we'll grid the area, and everybody goes 20 to 30 meters apart and literally just sweeps the area, and everybody
Yeah,
kind of knows what to look for, and what a den site looks like. Problem is with the snow cover, we're getting just to the point where it's starting to get a little tougher now to see.
yeah,
But last week, or I guess we came back about 10 days ago. um, yeah, I think we found 2 new ones. um, and then we just make a record, GPS them, that kind of thing. And of course, if we think it's active, if it's got a like a breathing hole and frost and that kind of stuff, we'll send a camera down. A little flurry unit is on site, so you can see thermal readings and that kind of thing. And of course, if it's active, we make note, and companies do what they need to do to protect the bears.
huh?
Yeah,
Sounds pretty fun.
yeah, yeah.
Do you have any draws you're gonna pull next year?
Oh man, I think I'm top of the heap. Yeah, I am, I believe, for 408 sheep.
Oh yeah,
So what is that now? 19 or 20, something like that? Man, I
something.
sure
Yeah.
hope I can get it, but I think there's like 3 or 4 guys ahead of me that actually had the priority before. So they're
Oh
still
yeah.
part of that group. So I don't know, other than that, maybe antelope, I might be there for archery antelope.
Oh
Not sure
yeah.
yet. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's all those
That's about
always
all I've
those
done.
guys like have all that priority and just pull it out out of nowhere too.
Yeah, yeah. I think I made a mistake and I missed the first year, so I got the second year. But um,
Oh yeah.
I feel for guys that didn't get onto those first years because they'll
It's
never get
brutal.
those or never have a chance at those, right? So
No. Seems like a lot of them are even antelope and everything's just going further and further out.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I was talking to a guy today, and he said, he says I'm really concerned for sheep in this
Yeah.
province and a lot of species, right? Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
I think that's right. Like 12, 13 years to get drawn for an antelope. Like that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, that's where we were. It's I think 12 and 13 is what people were getting with. So
Yeah,
I think I
yeah.
got 2 more years for rifle. I can pull archery anytime.
Nice.
Just got to do it.
Well, you should, because you'll be in a wheelchair before you can draw it again.
I'm dang near in a wheelchair now.
Yeah. Well, I said to Heather, I said, I'm not 20 anymore, and sheep hunting in November, that can be a
Yeah.
tough game. So deep snow and cold, and I wouldn't
Yeah.
mind doing that before I hit 60. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd love to go for sheep. I just never find the time or something. Should just
Yeah.
do it. We've gone on a couple of U hunts and
Yeah.
I've been there. Buddies was successful and a great hunts, like amazing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love them. Like just the nature you take in, the views and
Oh,
everything. It just builds you up, kind of. It's amazing.
there's nothing like it. I mean, to get a ram is the most amazing thing. I took a few years to get my first ram, and Heather did, what did we do? 170 kilometers with a backpack to get her ram.
Ooh,
And yeah, yeah. I mean, those are nice when they're earned, right? And just
yeah.
so much nicer when you earn it. Yeah,
Oh yeah. Yeah, maybe this spring or
yeah,
fall we'll get out.
yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, I'm still waiting on elk.
yeah.
Yoha keeps going away from me, but
Did you get out
and the
for
number.
whitetail? Did you get out for whitetails this year at all?
Me and Dad went out one day just to check for some scrapes.
Yeah.
There was this year's kind of funny. Like I went in some areas that usually is scraped up. There was nothing.
Hmm.
I don't know if it
It's
was just late this year or what the heck was going on, but
Well, it's funny because we often ask that question: Is it late? Is it delayed? Well, that's actually a biological impossibility for it to be late, just because it's photophase driven.
yeah,
There are things that can influence whether a doe doesn't go into estrus the first round, um, does, whatever. But uh, boy, I wrote a column on this not long ago in Outdoorsman, and it's just it happens, but all the
yeah,
like it always happens the same time, and it always happens um, consistently. But as a great example, our snow this year really threw the deer for a loop, I think. And then that warm weather,
yeah,
as a rule, I would say far less really big deer got killed this year. We'll see what happens these last 2 days, but um, we just weren't seeing the big deer. Like 150s, 160s, those were the biggest ones.
yeah,
And if any of the listeners or viewers watch Bozone live, I shot an okay 5x5, nice deer, but not a smasher. And I was
yeah,
holding up for a smasher this year. But one thing I've learned, Mitch, is you can't shop for what's not on the shelf.
yeah,
And when deer are keyed in, for example, on a food source, and they're not leaving that food source because the does are on that food source, you got to acknowledge the circumstance. So I guess you asked what I learned. That's one of the things I kind of acknowledged more this year. We had some really big bucks kind of picked out that we monitored all year,
Yeah.
and they just weren't showing up. Well, then I talked to a guy on a property adjacent, and he says, "Oh yeah," he says, "we got clover over there, and everything's staying right there." Well,
Oh
okay,
yeah.
that kind of put some pieces together for me. And if there's anything you need after the first rut, you need food, you need does, and you need a scrape line.
Yeah.
And without those, it's hit and miss what you're going to see.
Yeah.
So,
You're
but
waiting
it was,
on a roamer.
yeah. So you know what? I made a decision this year, and I just set a personal goal for myself with our show, Bozone Live. There, it's mostly self-filmed, mostly. There's a few guys
Yeah.
that will have a camera person come along, but and if you've ever tried to film your bow hunt for whitetails and try to shoot a big one with a bow on film, self-filming, that's tough.
Yeah.
And so the right situation came along and I took advantage, and it was kind of fun. So yeah,
Yeah. That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Um, for next year, are you going to hold out then and go for that bigger one?
Well, that's usually the goal. Yeah. It depends entirely on the intel we have. Like normally I find a target buck and I go for that target buck. And if I don't shoot him, that's fine. The last few years, I had a really really special buck 2 years ago called Splits, and I mean I had two encounters with him in November. He roared. I don't know if people have heard
Yeah.
whitetails roar, but it's a really incredible sound. It sounds just like a red stag roar. It's
Huh.
very rare. You don't hear it a lot, but it's cool. Have you heard that?
I do not believe I have.
It is a phenomenal thing. And I mean, I've hunted hardcore for whitetails for I don't know 40 years, 30 hardcore for sure. And I had never heard it myself. I'd heard that they do it,
Yeah.
but Splits did it. I rattled and he roared and roared and roared. Anyways, usually it's the dominant buck in the area that in my experience now and from what I've studied that does it. Well, then 2 weeks later he did it again, but this time he was in front of me and he had like a dozen does and he roared and roared and roared for half an hour, and it's just that red stag deep roar. It's crazy. It's
Huh.
anyway. So that was my target buck that year. I said pretty much all or none, and then I shot a smaller but a target buck last year. And this year I didn't have anything in mind because they all just kind of vanished. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep. It seems like everybody was kind of like that. It was just a weird year.
yeah, yeah,
Everyone I've talked to, like lots of guys weren't finding the scrape lines that usually are there, and
yeah.
it's just, yeah. The weather was just not all there. It's warm, crazy warm.
Well, we found a scrape line that was just well several now actually, but in the last few days that was dug down so deep, like really deep. And a lot of times, if you read my column in Alberta Outdoorsman, I'll talk about it, or in Outdoor Canada or whatever. Um, I talk about primary scrapes a lot, and I'm a primary scrape hunter. That is what I focus on. That is what I like to hunt. And when those weren't showing up like they normally do this year, I was having a
Yeah.
heart attack. It was scary. But we found them the last 2 weeks. Heather and I, we said we're not able to hunt what we want to hunt right now. Let's just invest a day and go and hike. So we did. It was the best education we could have ever done. We found
Yeah.
three different really good scrape lines where primaries were dug right deep into the soil. And when you got that with a bunch of other scrapes around it, man, that's the ticket. And so we started hunting those. And then the action started coming. Still not the 180s, but you know, that's
Better buck.
better bucks. Yeah. So yeah,
Nice.
yeah,
For those primary scrapes you're talking about, are you just looking for those bigger, deeper ones than just kind of all the little ones spread
yeah,
out everywhere then?
yeah. So really with scrape activity generally starts kind of once the velvet goes in September. Bucks will travel big ranges, varies depending on the buck and where their home place is. Small bush, big bush, you know, brush country, or is it farmland, that kind of thing. But a lot of times you'll see them on the edges of fields, and kind of go, oh, that's cool. Deer's scraping there. But then it kind of accelerates. And then once we get to the fourth week actually of October, and my date is October 26th. That's when I start to find the primary scrapes. And that's where those boundary scrapes and even tertiary scrapes become secondary. And then all of a sudden those bucks narrow into that one main scrape that everything visits. A lot of people call them community scrapes. And so for people that might not understand what that is, that's how bucks and does communicate. So does pee in them, bucks pee in them. There's a licking branch on top. Bucks will rub their gland on their eye, their orbital gland, mess around with it with their antlers, that kind of thing. So, yeah, that's their communication. That's their signpost. And so they keep visiting to find out, pheromones, right? Pick up pheromones and find out if the does are ready to be bred. So those become very important first and second estrus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if my boss is watching, but might have to go out tomorrow. One last kick at the can. I kind of said it today at work, but maybe didn't take me seriously. But
well, there's a few of our crews still out hunting right now too, and it was slow, but anything can happen these last couple of days of the season for sure. Heather's got her eye on a pretty good one, so she's being really diligent and putting in her hours, and she had a few deer come by today, by the scrape actually.
Oh yeah.
But not the one she's got her eye on.
Yeah. Yeah, no, on Saturday when we're coming back from the lake, there was bucks everywhere, cruising hard.
Yeah.
They only had one thing on their mind. You could tell they were just moving.
Yeah.
Trying to find one.
The odd guy seems to be, getting lucky and finding those giants, but a lot slower than most years. Taxidermists are saying it's slower. I was actually at a butcher today, and he said the same thing. He said way less deer coming in this year.
Huh.
Yeah. So I think it's pretty universal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you? We'll just switch back to the predator.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember I had some buddies ask me, "What's your gun of choice for coyotes?"
I'm a 22 250 or a 243 guy. I really truly believe that the 2250 was divinely made for coyotes. It's just a flat shooting gun, but you know what? Anymore, honestly, I know there's going to be lots of guys that are 204 fans, 223s, whatever. But anymore, it's not so much about the caliber, but the bullet. There's so many really good custom bullets, like fur-friendly bullets, that are made to kill. I experimented with some soft points a couple of years ago, and I'd smack these coyotes right on the shoulder. They'd roll around, do the funky chicken, run into cover 10 yards away, and I'd spend the next hour looking for them.
Yeah.
Well, I realized very quickly, of course, that kind of what I thought. Yeah, that's not going to work. You got to hit soft tissue for those. But I like a 55 grain. The Varmint X, I actually really like the Winchester Varmint X. That's my go-to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that like kind of a copper jacket kind of thing, or?
That one, yeah, it's actually got a ballistic tip on it, but they're just fur friendly. They go in, they expand and stay inside. There's rarely an exit wound. So yeah.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah, does a really good job at preserving the fur for sure.
Yeah. Do you hunt elk much in the rut?
It depends on the year. This year I didn't have time. I was working a lot. I did go down, like I said, and got one. Heather was down antelope hunting, and I went down with her. Well, on the prairie, another buddy that came, we just got lucky basically and saw a bull bedded in a perfect spot, and of course bulls were open there. So I just did a sneak, did a 4-hour wait on him, and 44-yard shot, and it was like I couldn't believe it happened, but it just happened that way. So
That's
But
awesome.
during the rut, I love calling and working elk for sure when I have time. Yes. For years, I had a phenomenal spot, and then oil and gas came in and wiped it out. But it was at the point where you just expected to call bulls in every single day,
Yeah.
and that place disappeared. And as you know, good elk spots are hard to find.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The
Um.
10 other guys haven't found already. Yeah,
Yeah. 100%.
yeah,
Just go up by Grand Prairie.
yeah, yeah.
Join the circus.
That's exactly right.
But when you're hunting those bulls in the rut, are you like staying closer to wallows or just like kind of going over a valley and seeing who's responding?
Oh, what I like to do. I mean, I like to know where a home range is, um, and in my experience, and there's always exceptions to anything like this, of course. But in my experience, um, bulls will be dispersed, but they'll have core rutting areas,
Yeah.
and that's why a lot of times when you find those like pounded deep cattle trail elk trails, that look like cattle trails. Um, a lot of the stuff I've hunted over the years, it seems like those areas get really active. And of course, I try to find old and new rubs and that kind of stuff, and wallows and things like that. But that's what I tend to focus on is those rutting corridors. And of course, if you got resident cows, that just makes your life a whole lot easier. But um, those bulls aren't going to go there unless there's cows, anyways. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of what I do, and everybody loves to bugle, but the problem, probably you have seen it, I've seen it a million times. The eager guys get out early August and they start bugling because they love the sound. They
Mhm.
want to hear it bugle back, and all they're doing is educating and shutting everything down. So I only bugle normally. I only bugle typically just before daylight or just after to locate. And then
Yeah.
once I've got a response, I shut up and I run at them as hard and loud as I can and make a bunch of noise. I'm not quiet about it myself. That's my strategy.
Yeah.
When I've guided elk hunters, we've had great success doing that. Um, I had a guy one time from Ontario that he was a short guy, and I said, "Look," I said, "we got this bull worked up, and it was just barely getting to be legal." I said, "I'm not bugling anymore. I'm going to cow call. We're going to run at him. We're going to get within 150 yards, 100 yards. I'm going to cow call one more time. And if he's coming," I said, "you just do exactly what I say." And then we got in. I cow called once. He bugled. He was coming hard. He couldn't have been more than 80 yards away, 70 yards. And I told the guy, "Get down, go to full draw, and just wait." And so he
Yeah.
did. I got down, and no sooner had I gotten on my knees and I looked under the brim of my cap, and here comes this, 290 bull, full lip curl, bugling his face off, 15 yards from the guy,
Oh yeah.
and it was a swing and a miss. He was so
Oh,
excited, he hit his release prematurely, and the arrow went up in a tree.
oh yeah.
Yeah, but
I'm
that's
sure
that's the
he.
strategy. That's what I like to do. I like to run at him. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is that like? I know some guys the first rut they're not as aggressive. I've heard from different guys, and they wait for that second, and they're a lot more aggressive in the second rut.
That's been my experience, but man, you've probably seen it too. Like I've seen crazy aggressive bulls in the first rut too. So
Yeah.
it just depends. But some of the more competent elk hunters than me that I talk to, um, I mean, guys like Chris Skelly, he believes in that second round as well.
Yeah.
Um, there's guys I know that really do well that second rut in October.
Yeah. I've
That
heard that
kind of
some guys.
what fifth to the 10th kind of thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No. Like out west of me, it used to be a lot better before all the predators moved in, but now they're not vocal at all.
Yeah. Nah,
They're
yeah, that's right.
shut
And that
down.
is again that Alberta has such a bad predator problem.
Mhm.
It'd be really good, if hunters, even anglers, started communicating en masse. with the minister's office and saying, hey, we have a serious predator problem, and here's my observation. Because the only way that they're going to acknowledge is if more and more people start making noise.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of us are just exasperated and to the point of giving up and saying, hey, you know, we're not even going to communicate with fish and wildlife officers or biologists anymore because they don't do anything. And that's a fair statement because, you know, their resources are limited and they have limited manpower, but we have a political system here that's really messed up when it comes to, you know, predator management.
Yeah.
It's based on emotional decisions and not science. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I have no problem saying that out loud. That's a fact.
Well, 100%.
Yeah.
But I don't think anything's going to change unless, like you said,
Yeah.
it's got to make noise. But even then,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's unfortunate that Jason Nixon has moved on because we were making some good progress on some of these things.
yeah,
And I just don't know what's going to happen now with some of those things that we're
he'll
moving forward, you know.
he'll be in an interesting election. I'll tell you that much.
Now, Todd Lowen will be fantastic, and I really encourage people to communicate with his office. Once he gets things rolling, he will be a great guy
Yeah,
to have do that.
yeah. Hopefully
Yeah.
they figure it out and something changes because, like more and more grizzlies are coming closer and closer, and that's just because those boars have to find new ranges and everything like that, and they keep getting pushed farther east lately.
Yeah. Well, you know, we were discussing this before the show. There was another grizzly mauling a couple weeks ago around Grand Cache. Then there was the black bears that attacked those two women, and just shortly before that, and you know, we've had a lot of incidents, and I'm not quite sure why the province wants to keep that or seems to want to keep that fairly quiet. So it's important for people, backcountry users, to understand that our populations are higher, the risk is higher. It's important to get educated, important to understand how to respond to those encounters and attacks, you know.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
when we were talking, I didn't even hear about that grizzly attack.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I didn't see it anywhere, and usually I'll pick it up, but
Yeah.
it's like you didn't see it nowhere.
Yeah. No,
It's
I
just
didn't even
radio
see it.
silent.
I didn't even see it anywhere myself. I only know because of what I do for work. And one of my guys actually let me know right after. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
just trying to keep it off the radar, I guess.
Mhm. Mhm.
But that won't do anything good for anybody, anyways.
No, I agree. No, in a you know, in a really appropriate way, I really encourage people to take the high road and communicate with the minister's office. And you know, they do respond when there's high numbers of public expression, you know.
Yeah, you'd think you'd see it. I know there's a lot more insurance crops too from just grizzly bears wrecking crops. I
You know,
know of, like,
oh yeah, when we're finding, you know, a dead grizzly bear in a dugout 25 miles out onto the prairie, that's not normal. 100 years ago it was, of course. They lived on the prairie, but not now. I saw a grizzly on the prairie last year. Um, I mean, the one that's really common that got a lot of attention was the 11 grizzly bears on a guy's bin.
yeah,
I mean, that's too many grizzly bears in one place.
yeah, yeah. It's
So,
ridiculous that there be that many there too.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I mean, you know, for any elk hunter, especially if you're calling, you know, beware. That's an elk or that's a grizzly magnet, black bear magnet. Um,
Yeah,
I got lots of. I've never called in a bear to an elk call. I do predator calling for black bears. That's fun, but um, I do have several friends who've called lots of elk in, or sorry, lots of
yeah,
grizzly bears in. Yeah,
yeah. I've
with an
known a
elk
few. I
call.
known one guy that had to shoot one
Yeah,
that he called in elk call,
yeah.
and then he went through all the stuff with the fish and wildlife, and you're pretty much the criminal.
Yeah, and it's really unfortunate that, you know, most people can't carry. a sidearm.
Mm-hmm.
That to me seems to be a no-brainer. We should all be allowed. I have an ATC for work. I carry a 45, but I had to go through a lot of hoops to get it.
Yeah.
So, it's unfortunate that that's not just readily accessible to everybody.
And the way things are going with all the gun laws now,
Yeah.
who knows what we'll have here soon.
Oh man, that's a whole other discussion. I mean, it's
Yeah, that's a whole different
crazy.
show.
And the thing
Yeah.
is, people better start paying attention, because if we think that our gun's not on the list, trust me, it's just a matter of time. And it's got to
Yeah.
stop before it's, way too far down the slope. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I really encourage people, if you're able, to make donations to this CCFR and NFA, that kind of stuff. So yeah,
Yeah.
they're fighting on
Hopefully.
our behalf. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a whole different show. I think I'll do a show on it here in the upcoming weeks because it has to be addressed right away.
Yeah. Did you get out for any ducks or anything this year? I know you do a bit of pheasant hunting.
I got out for pheasants twice this year,
Nice.
but that's way better than last year because I didn't even get out last year.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I had a renewed passion for pheasant hunting this year. I found
Oh,
wild pheasants, and I'm going to keep the area quiet. Like lots of them, and
yeah.
the release sites are fun and everything, but to be on your own and hunting wild pheasants, and I found I saw Heather and I saw what 20 pheasants in a tree, all
Oh,
wild.
yeah.
3/4 of them were hens,
Huh.
and the roosters had tails of feathers like I've never seen before.
Yeah.
It's crazy. They're just such a beautiful bird.
Oh, I love them. It's such a
Yeah.
fun hunt.
Yeah.
Just watching the dogs and everything's just
What kind of
awesome.
dog do you have again?
Mine's a Weimaraner cross.
Yeah.
Then my dad has 2 Llewellyn setters,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
and they work pretty good. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
because he's part of NAVDA there, so
Yeah.
he does
Cool.
the trials and whatnot.
Yeah.
So my dog just learned from their dog.
Yeah.
And that was nice because I really had to do really nothing with her. She picked it
Yeah.
up so good.
Yeah. Yeah. I decided to treat myself. Work was good this year, so I went and picked up a Fausti over and under. It's a
Oh
nice
yeah,
gun. I'm liking
yeah,
it, but I'm thinking I know it was a 12 gauge. I'm thinking I might look at a 20 next year if I'm going to do this
yeah,
pheasant thing more and more and more.
yeah. I know
Yeah.
my dad's thinking the same thing. He's got a Sendero Browning
Yeah.
over on there, but I think he wants to go to a 20 gauge as well here soon.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
But
we hit the pheasants were open, and we hit the situation just perfect because the snow came in right like between the archery hunt and the rifle hunt for Heather's mule deer.
yeah,
And the pheasants were everywhere. They're coming out in the canola fields everywhere.
huh?
And it was like you couldn't go 200 yards without finding more pheasants. It was crazy.
You found the holy ground.
Oh, everywhere. And it wasn't one quarter, it was everywhere we went.
Huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
sounds like a good spot. I know my buddy sent me some pictures, kind of south of us. His buddy said he had a bunch in his field,
yeah.
and he's nowhere near a release site either.
Yeah.
So
Well, I went and picked Heather up from a spot from a blind today, just before dark, and I saw a field absolutely loaded with greenheads and Canadas. So I might kind
yeah,
of go take a look at that and see if I can nail that one down.
yeah. Have you been seeing a lot of geese still, or
No, no,
nah?
we're pretty void up here, but they obviously have some water open somewhere, and
Yeah.
so. But I love hunting them in December. That's a fun time, and lots of big fat greenheads.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to get out for some ducks. It's just Yeah, time. Got to make the time, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. Between that brook trout fishing in December and those late ducks, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I got a good lake I want to go to for brookies, but it's just taking the time to do it because it's going to take a whole weekend anyways.
Yeah. I know a lot of guys are getting ramped up. I'm seeing them on social media. Maybe they're just frustrated and giving up on the deer, but seeing lots of guys all pumped about the ice fishing now, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, it is the time. The bite's always great right now too, so.
Oh, amazing, yeah. I'd like to get after some rainbows, even some whitefish early. I'd love to do that. I just haven't had a chance.
Next Sunday, whitefish season.
You going?
Yeah, Dad's already got a bunch of stuff tied up. I'm
Good
sure
stuff.
we'll be out right away.
He tied the fish up.
Oh no, he ties a bunch of these little flies that just work great.
Yeah.
And they'll be super aggressive.
Yeah.
That early ice, so.
Nice.
Try there.
Yeah.
There's a few other lakes I'd like to expand to. There's a couple other lakes further north that I'd like to hit up. I know there's some hogs in there. I just haven't fished them, so take a day to kind of find out where they are then.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
we have traditionally, and you and I've talked about this, hit up pigeon, but man, they can be like finding hen's teeth there. Pigeon can be a tricky lake to fish sometimes for those jumbos.
Yeah.
Didn't used to be. Yeah.
Yeah, it used to be insane. You could go wherever.
Yeah.
But I was actually thinking that because it doesn't have the closure like some of the other lakes.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's probably enough ice to get out a little.
Yeah, I don't know what it would be out there. I mean, on a big body of water like that, I don't know if it'd be there yet.
I know some spots on Gulls getting ice reports from some guys that own the shacks out there that put out the shacks. I think 2 weeks ago they had 5 inches.
Oh, nice.
In tight, 100 yards out, so probably like 8 feet or something.
Yeah. Boy,
But
we sure had a good late spring day there when we talked last March. The whites were in with the burbot and just going crazy.
Oh yeah,
absolutely crazy. The camera was just loaded with fish.
Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah, we did good late March too. Just need some bigger ones this year. I'd really like to get a real hog of a whitefish.
Yeah. I think my biggest is 8 pounds or just under 8 pounds. I haven't beat that though. Yeah. Have you done better than that?
I don't think so. Maybe
so
as a kid.
I just found out I got the cover for this next issue of Outdoor Canada. Actually, on Sylvan there. Buddy was with me that day, and we picked up a couple good ones, and so I just found out.
Yeah, there is some nice ones in there.
Yeah.
On the fly is awesome in the summer.
Yeah. Well, I want to get out and try that. I've never actually done that in the summer.
Oh, it's amazing. It's poor man's bonefish.
Yeah. Well, I can remember even on Battle Lake years ago, I can remember being in like 6 to 8 feet of water and just seeing clouds of big whitefish. Yeah. I didn't have anything like that for whitefish in my tackle box. I was fishing walleye. And had I known, I mean, that was long time ago, many years ago. So now I always keep a little extra gear for that, just in case.
Oh yeah. I always have an ultralight and the fly rod in the boat.
Yeah.
I just bring everything in the boat.
Yeah. I know. I ice fished with you last year. I know you bring everything.
That wasn't even everything.
Yeah.
That was just targeting one thing.
Well, you brought the important stuff. You brought I think we had hot dogs or something, didn't we? Smokies? Yeah.
Yeah, some smokies, hot dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need a barbecue on the lake.
Yeah, that's right. For sure, it's a must.
Yeah, we'll have to get out again this year and chase a few different species.
Oh, I got some good stuff for perch. We'll have to try because we got kind of. We had an okay day that day, but I got some better spots than that. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I got some new hooks to try, some new grubs. So,
Cool.
is there anything else you're looking forward to targeting this year through the ice?
You know, I need to kind of focus a little bit on big pike this year. I really would like to get after some big pike and some lake trout as well.
Yeah,
So, I was thinking of maybe heading up to Peerless, but I'm not sure.
yeah,
Timing's a
yeah.
big issue
No,
there. Yeah.
big burbs.
Mhm.
Well, I love burbot fishing.
Yeah. And lake
They're
trout.
tasty.
Yeah.
Lake trout, yeah.
Yeah.
I love lake trout fishing too. That's kind of my thing now. I
Is that
kind of
right?
got hooked on. Yeah. Last few years, I've put quite a bit of time into lake trout, learning kind of what they like, what they don't.
Well, you do that tournament, don't you, up at Cold Lake?
Yep, we did the summer. I'm signed up for the winter again.
The
The
winter
summer
one is
was
what.
the summer one was amazing.
Yeah.
Just fish after fish. We
Hmm.
put over 100 up
Yeah.
easy in a day, and 100 feet of water by the end. Your arms just rubber.
Terrible problem to have. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you had to switch to the other side and just hold it there for a second, then start reeling with the other hand because you're just beat.
Yeah. Put it in the rod holder, be like the lazy man's halibut. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm excited for ice fishing. I'll probably only get up there for the tournament, but I got
Yeah.
a lot of spots marked now, so if they're not producing, I'll move off to the other spots.
Yeah.
But they
Our
should. They're
our
usually
fuel
pretty.
prices need to go down before we can start racing around every 2 days.
Yeah,
That's just
yeah,
crazy.
no, they're coming down a little, but
A
not to
little
what they
bit.
should be.
Yeah.
Should have built a pipeline, I guess.
Yeah. That would have probably changed a few things.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing I am going to do this winter, I met a fellow last year, and he's become actually a pretty good friend. He's actually in your neck of the woods, and he's got beagles, and he is, oh man, he's a beagle fiend. He loves doing the rabbit game, and
Yeah.
I had always heard about it. It's big out east. I had not, um, I'd never done that bunny hunting with beagles.
Yeah.
What a rush! That is one of the funnest hunts I've done in a lot of years. I took a little single shot 410, and it's a
Yeah.
fast game. These rabbits are fast. I don't know if you ever tried it, but it's a hoot.
Yeah. No, I remember you telling me about after, and you were just pumped on it.
Oh yeah, it's fun. It's just something fun to do, right? And rabbit tastes great, so yeah,
Oh yeah.
made a killer rabbit stew. It was great. Yeah,
Yeah.
hadn't shot a bunny in, I don't know, 20 years, 25
Oh
years
really?
maybe, and we whacked and stacked them that day. Filled the freezer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
If I see a rabbit, it doesn't got much time left.
yeah. That's funny.
I love the rabbits too.
Yeah,
They're just tasty.
yeah. Yeah,
But
well, let me
yeah,
know if you want to try that. I might be able to see if you could join us. It's a hoot.
yeah, no, that'd be amazing.
Yeah,
That would be a blast watching the dogs go.
I'd like to see you do the recurve on the run.
Yeah, I got one up
Fun.
there ready to party.
I see that. Yeah,
And I got the bow set up too. I wanted to
yep,
go for some carp this year. This lake I know of supposed to have a lot of carp. A guy invited me. He lives
yep.
on the lake, and he says off his dock you can just see them like all day.
In Alberta?
But, yeah,
No
all
kidding.
those invasive ones. But
Yeah,
he
yeah,
said like the biggest one he got was like 16 inches with his recurve,
yeah.
and I was like, well, that sounds like fun. But I never made it out to that lake this year. I didn't give him a shout. But
I've got the perfect boat for that. I've got a 17-foot flat bottom, and I built a big deck on it, a shooting deck.
oh yeah,
And we go out to Last Mountain Lake in Saskatchewan.
yeah,
And on our YouTube channel, I've got a little video on there on the bow fishing. And the biggest one we got was 30 pounds.
and that's the
30
common
pound
carp.
carp. Common carp, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, invasive, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a fun deal, that bow fishing.
Oh yeah, I've
Yeah.
been waiting to get her going, but just never made it a priority, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. And it really you can walk and wade some places, but
Yeah.
that deck on a flat bottom boat is the way to go. You're
Oh
just
yeah.
elevated and you can see better, and yeah.
Have you ever tried it at night? Can you do it
I've
at night?
never tried it at night. No. I'd love to. Have you?
No, I've watched a lot of videos and been like, that looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. No, I'd love to do it, but
uh,
um I don't think we can do it here, can we, in Alberta?
I don't know.
I don't think you can use a light. Um you can fish at night, but I don't think you use a light.
Yeah, you won't be able to project it into the water
Yeah, I have to make sure we give
unless
listeners
it
and
was on
viewers.
a line.
Yeah, well,
I
yeah,
think
I don't
that's
know
how
how
they
that
get
works.
around that.
You have to check that, I guess. But so
Yeah.
note to people who are tuning in, make sure you check the regs.
Yeah. I know there's a big debate about that.
Yeah.
But I don't know about Saskatchewan if they'd have a
Yeah, I don't
different
know.
rule.
I don't know. I've never seen anybody using a light there, but
I've
the
never
big
seen
thing
it.
the big thing in uh oh, I forget the name of it. It's a fish that it was right on the tip of my tongue. It's a fish that looks a lot like a common carp, but it's not.
Like a
Um
drum,
yeah, kind of like it. Look, it's not called a drum, but it's another type of
a
um
sheephead.
yeah, it's like that, but it's not that.
Hmm.
Yeah, anyway, there's another fish that you got to be very careful when you're fishing there or bow fishing there, that because they're actually protected.
Oh, grass carp.
No,
Is
no,
that one?
it's right on the tip of my tongue. I can't remember what it is. It's in their regulations, anyways. It cautions
Oh yeah,
people to be careful not to shoot those, so because they're
yeah.
protected. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, there's world of opportunity here for us that want to get out for sure and do this stuff.
There's a lot of different activities.
Yeah, I met a falconer this summer, and he was showing me his birds, and I realized how much upland game they had in that area, which was kind of what I was alluding to. And he was saying he has a great time. I mean, there's so many huns, so many pheasants, so many everything. So he
Yeah,
just six his birds on them and gets his stuff.
that sounds pretty easy hunting there.
Greg wants to go ice fishing for perch, does he?
Yeah, he said it's gonna be good soon. Couple weeks.
Couple weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll have to get up and meet up with Greg too.
yeah,
I still have a battery for him from last year.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure we'll meet up at Cold Lake. Cold Lake's gonna be a blast. There's a ton of people going up, so
Ah, cool.
a lot of good anglers. So it'll be awesome.
Oh, I'd like to try that sometime.
Come up for the tournament.
Yeah. Thanks, Greg. Yeah,
Yeah, no. Um, yeah, perch, pike. I'd like to get out some walleye.
yeah.
Get on some tasty walleyes.
I did get a couple draws, I guess, for Newell, for walleye,
Oh
but we
yeah.
usually don't go down there until kind of the last ice,
Oh yeah.
or
March
the
Madness.
last little bit of open.
Yeah.
Um, Love the big pike down there.
Yeah.
That's where you got a real chance to catch 30 pounders. Yeah, is
Yeah. I know I got some buddies already fishing it, so
that right? Hey,
yeah. They're doing pretty good. They
be
caught some real
sketchy
nice
ice
fish.
now, wouldn't it, down there?
I bet you it's 5 inches, maybe
Oh wow.
six
Huh.
inches.
So
I
they've been
know
hitting it well.
Colin Campbell, he guides down there. I think they got a 45-inch the other day with a client.
Nice,
So that's nice fish.
for sure.
And I'm gonna get out to my Pike Lake soon. I know last year I saw 48 get caught, the guy I was with,
Oh
but I think there's a 50.
wow.
But we'll see. Put in the time.
Yep, that's what it takes.
Just got to make the drive. And I know the one day we caught 7 or 8 over 40 inches. So
Yeah.
was a good day.
For
The
sure.
biggest was 48, lots 42s.
Yeah.
But
Nice.
just even tried the hot dog trick and it worked. 41 inch. 41 inch on a hot dog.
You didn't try Zach Brown's trick with the squirrel, hey?
No, I don't know if you could use a squirrel.
I don't think you're supposed to. I don't know, but
No.
anyways, that was a little sketchy, but yeah.
Oh, they'll eat anything.
Yeah, for sure.
I know a buddy caught a rainbow last year and he took it home and had a mouse in it. But those trout, like tigers and browns, is another thing I really want to do next year is like last light into dark, throwing mouse patterns against the bank and just stripping them to me.
Oh yeah, that makes sense for sure.
I know we've done it on a lake before, but it's mostly all pike topwater at night. So it was like plus 40 something that day, and we went out at midnight, I think.
Yeah.
And threw the flies around, and they were just smashing stuff.
Yeah.
But
yeah, the bull trout thing's got me a little enamored these days too. Especially the stuff in April, the early stuff.
Yeah.
You know, they're winter skinny, but they're not, in my experience, not quite as voracious.
Yeah.
You know, but if you can get them to take it, that's a fun trip. I just liked all those big ice heaves on the side of the river, and yeah, it's just kind of a cool experience. So that's one thing I'm looking forward to. Yeah.
Yeah, bull trout's fun. Browns, same kind of time too.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of habitat the same areas half the time, so.
Yeah.
Well, it was great talking to you, Kevin.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Next week we have another great show, so stay tuned. We'll announce it soon as I figure out if we're going to bring on the guy from last week. But I don't really know. But I'm too tired right now.
That time of year.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, Kevin. Thanks
you,
for everybody tuning in. Where can they find you?
Me?
Yeah, on your socials.
Oh yeah, at Kevin Wilson Outdoors, or just Kevin Wilson on Facebook. I don't do Twitter.
Yeah, that's too much. And then Bowzone Live too.
Yeah, Bowzone Live. Check it out on Wild TV. I think our last episode for this year is tomorrow night, 7 p.m. on Wild. And that's it's a live, semi-live show. One of a kind, really.
Yeah.
And actually, if you want to see what I do with my other business, the Wild Encounters, that's at Wild Encounters Ltd on Instagram. So if folks are interested.
Well, go give Kevin a like. We'll see you guys all next Tuesday. Till then, have a great weekend. Take tomorrow off. Go kill a big buck. And we'll see you Tuesday.
See you, everyone.